There was a game that was had this past Sunday between my San Francisco 49ers and the Chicago Bears in Santa Clara in Levi Stadium, and that game was entitled Bears Football. Yes, both of these teams going in were playing some red and gold Bears football. Going in, Niners riding a 3-game losing streak. The Bears riding in with their own 6-game losing streak, playing some pretty piss-poor football on the way into a game where something had to give. And for my 49ers, well, they certainly gave that 3-game losing streak up, pounding the pudding, beating up on the Chicago Bears from the very start of this game and never letting up. And there's a bit of a scare in the third and fourth quarter, but not enough for the Bears to really give the Niners a challenge, as the Niners completely whooped that ass, whooped that trick on Chicago 38-13 in this complete ass whooping of Chicago at home in this Week 14 meeting. So let's talk about it. Let's talk about this game between the Niners and the Bears, starting with the Bears from their perspective. Like, oh boy. Yeah. New head coach, even though on the interim, yeah, same old problems for the Chicago Bears. Like, this game from the Bears perspective, like, it says a lot about how bad they were and how good the Niners were. From the very start, Brock Purdy and that offense, like, they got the ball first and they immediately torched the Bears and that spread out defense. Like, the Bears were playing spread out so much, like, even like later on in the game, they were playing man-to-man and they still got torched. They are still getting frequently burnt to a crisp by George Kittle, Isaac Guerendo, Jawan Jennings. Like, they were leaving so much open grass, open space, that it's no wonder why that offense, the Niner offense, they were scoring touchdowns in 5 plays or less in less than 3 minutes on almost every drive, all except 2 of them. It's like, no wonder, like, for a Bears defense that some people were claiming were good, like, for much of the season, like, they got torched in this whole game. And it is amplified by the fact that Montez Sweat-led pass rush that I thought was going to be key in this game, it barely could crack Brock Purdy. It barely could get to him. They only sacked him, I believe, once in this game, let alone stop Isaac Guerendo. Like, they couldn't stop Isaac Guerendo, and even Patrick Taylor. They couldn't even stop Patrick Taylor in this game. Like, the Niners were down 2 of their best backs in less than 50% Christian McCaffrey and Jordan Mason. Both of them were put on the IR, and yet they couldn't stop Isaac Guerendo and Patrick Taylor. But great to Isaac Guerendo, he's pretty good, but we'll talk more about him in just a bit. And then offensively, when you look at it from that side of the ball, that they were just as bad as the defense. Outside the 2 touchdown drives that Caleb Williams had with Rome Odunze, the Bears' offense was very bad. Caleb was clearly flustered from the start of their opening possession. He got sacked 5 times in this game because he can't get rid of the ball fast enough. He can't process, that weak Niners defense. Like, a pass rush that's missing, Nick Bosa, Javon Hargrave, yet he still can't go through his progressions. He still can't read the defense. And yet he still gets sacked by the likes of Leonard Floyd, Malik Collins, Udo Gross-Matos. And again, credit to them. But looking at it from the Bears side, you're getting your butt whooped by them. Really? It's like he was clearly getting flustered against that weak 49ers pass rush. And they managed to sack him 5 times because he can't get rid of the ball fast enough. Like, you got to get rid of that ball quicker, man. Or at the very least, like, why wasn't he doing this in the first half? Like, get out of the pocket. Run. Use your legs. Like, what you were doing in the last couple of weeks. Like, why was he not doing that in the first half? Why were you waiting till the third quarter to use your legs? Like, why is it only restricted to the scheme? Like, it makes no sense to me. So Caleb also had a backwards pass fumble that really killed the momentum of the Bears trying to get back in that game. I believe it was 24-6 by that point, but the Niners defense was pretty lackadaisical at that point in the game. But Caleb had this momentum killing backwards fumble that, well, because of that, the Niners actually scored going at the very first play of the fourth quarter. That pretty much ended the Bears in that game. So yeah, overall, when you look at the Bears right now, you're at 4-9, and your season's basically dead now. They're back to where they were for the last 5 years, in the basement of the NFC North after such a promising 4-2 start. And you thought, I mean, there's still some good things about Caleb Williams, but still, well, he's been playing like a rookie. This last game, this last couple weeks, it's like, and well, he's also has a piss poor offensive line, piss poor defense. It's like, it's not looking good for Chicago, man. I mean, they better get this head coach situation right. But if you want to look at a positive for this game for the Bears, I mean, the run defense, the running game was okay. At least it set up those 2 touchdowns with DeAndre Swift, and then Romeo Dunze, clearly Caleb's trusted go-to receiver outside of DJ Moore, who he had an okay game too, but they're like so down behind that Romeo Dunze was the go-to guy. Meanwhile, looking at from the 49ers perspective, yeah, this is clearly the best that they've looked in, I'd say, about 2 months. Brock Purdy looked very sharp in this game. And like I said, the keys to victory in the lead up to this game, you got to get George Kittle involved. And I would have liked to see Ricky Pearsall get involved in this game, but that's okay. Like George Kittle, he was the biggest key to getting this offense reignited. And I totally forgot about Juwan Jennings, man. How could you forget? How could I forget about Juwan Jennings? Like, that's on me. That's my bad, as our truth like to say. That's on me. But that trio took major advantage of the very soft coverage the Bears secondary was giving to them. So it was a nice performance by them. Purdy also had a good amount of time to throw and, as necessary, get out of the pocket and use his legs at times. Thanks to, again, that soft pass rush led by Montez Sweat. So, yeah, that Bears defense not really giving Purdy a lot of heat. So Purdy really took advantage of that. Looking at the running game with Isaac Grendo, he looked pretty good in his first start in place of both Christian McCaffrey and Jordan Mason, both of whom were placed on IR. Grendo did a nice job cutting through open running lanes given to him by the offensive line. Got 2 touchdowns for the day, which makes me wonder, Kyle Shanahan, like, again, why didn't you use that 3-headed running attack to take that pressure off of McCaffrey? Like that running attack with Jordan Mason, Isaac Grendo. Like, you could have used the 3-headed running attack a lot sooner, when Christian McCaffrey came back. Ease some of that pressure off of him. Unfortunately, though, Grendo did leave the game very late with some kind of foot sprain. Hopefully it's not too serious because, well, I mean, we're already down 3 running backs at this point in the year. Actually, 2, sorry. 2 running backs. Yeah, it would hurt even more if we were down 3. Oof. And then Purdy also had an injury scare, like in the fourth quarter, but that was thanks to Darrell Taylor yeeting. He decided to yeet onto Brock Purdy, but he managed to only stay out of the game for like 1 play immediately afterwards, and that was pretty much that. Other than that, I mean, with it being garbage time, like that was like Purdy didn't really need to play the rest of the game with like 3 minutes left to go. So that was pretty much that. And then defensively, they did a nice job pretty much shutting down Caleb Williams and that offense. They held them to just 2 yards total in the first half. They did show some cracks in the second half, allowing a little too much open space to DeAndre Swift in the running game. And then in the passing game, they let Keenan Allen, DJ Moore, and Romeo Dunze get open a little too much separation in the passing game. But it's not like the Bears offense really did anything in the third and much of the third quarter and a little bit in the fourth, because that Bears series in the opening in the opening of the second half, it took up so much time. It like took up 9 minutes. It's like they really weren't like in a hurry to get that going. Like Kenny Albert and Jonathan Vilman were saying, "Oh, this is great. This is great what they're doing." It's like they're down 24 and they're barely moving the ball. And the Niners, I believe they punted, and then on the very next drive, Caleb fumbled, and then the Niners scored. So it's like, yeah, looking back at it now, it's terrible. That's a terrible decision for the Bears to just lackadaisically move on their opening possession, and then yeah, they scored, but still, it looks bad on them. So yeah, overall, when you look at this game by the Niners and the Bears, again, the best that the Niners looked in the last 2 months. Defensively, yeah, there's some things that they could do a little bit better, but they beat up on a bad team. I guess it helps, I suppose. I would have preferred the other option, but it's okay. The Niners in the offense, they looked more energized than they've been in the last month or so, especially with Purdy looking towards Kittle and Jennings, while also feeding Isaac Grindo at times in the passing game, and Grindo looking good himself as a runner. And yeah, we'll soon find out though if this kind of performance will sustain, or it'll just be an illusion, a one-game illusion. So, speaking of which, let's look ahead to a Week 15 meeting, which is coming up relatively shortly. Yeah. Why do I say relatively shortly? Because, yeah, the 49ers don't have much time to lust. They don't have much time to salivate in this victory that snapped the 3-game losing skid, because, well, they get to play a second Thursday night game of the season. This time around, they get to play the LA Rams, but they get to play at home this time. They get to play the Rams in a rematch from their Week 3 meeting, which honestly they should have won that game because it's Kyle Shanahan. They choked, but nonetheless, yeah, they get to play the Rams in a Thursday night meeting, which honestly, if you want to try to win the division at this point in the year, well, you got to have it. You got to have it. But anyway, the Rams in their Week 14 meeting against the Buffalo Bills, they nearly gave that one away. They had a 17-point lead in the fourth quarter, but they managed to hold on and upset the Bills 44 to 42 to stay in pace with the Seahawks in the NFC West division race. So if you're looking at for the 49ers, this is a do or die in this division matchup because, again, you already lost to the Rams and you don't want to get swept by them too. So you got to have this one if you're San Francisco, if you want to keep your delusional playoff hopes alive. And if you fall to 6 and 8, then it's, well, your season's even more dead than it already was. So just saying. So yeah, the Niners get the big blowout win, the stress relieving win over the Chicago Bears, 38-13, and we're already looking ahead to that big Thursday night meeting against the LA Rams. So yeah, we'll be looking at the game relatively soon. We'll see what happens there. But anyway, let me know your thoughts on this game against the Chicago Bears. Do you think this will just be a one-game illusion, or will this be the beginning of a very late run to the division title? But you got to just hope. If you're looking at those hopes, that Seattle will crack. But let me know your thoughts in the comments below. And until we look at that game against the LA Rams, keep the lasagna very cold in the fridge with your takes on the world of sports. And until I see you, when I see you in the next one, peace out.